So let's talk about momentum. Now, momentum is an extremely powerful force, and you probably never really thought about how to make use of it in your own life. However, I really wanted to have this conversation because this is something, just having this perspective can change a lot of things, change a lot of context that you might experience. So, usually when we're thinking of like an end goal, or we're thinking of something that we want to create, we're always thinking about like what happens at the end, like the finished product, right? And then our minds try to place, okay, well, we need to get from A to Z, and Z is the finish line, Z is what we want. However, now I need to fill in the gaps on how to get it. And then our logical mind starts to try to kind of filter in how that's going to happen. And oftentimes this is the reason why you don't even get started, right? Is because it just seems you can't place all of the steps together, so you don't even start. It just seems like so out of reach. However, momentum will kick in once you start. Okay? So, and the thing with momentum is that the gates don't open until you pull up to it. Okay, so you have to start. And then your experiences and everything that happens once you start, everything that you start gaining starts to build and start to compound on each other. And then once it starts to build and compound, then momentum starts. Then you start getting into the flow of things. Then you start getting into the groove of things. Okay, and that's when you pull up to the gates and the gates open. You pull up to the destination and the destination happens. And I can guarantee you the tipping point is closer than you think. Because once momentum starts, it's going to take you there so much faster than you could ever realize. Okay? But you got to start. You got to take those first few steps. And you don't need to see how it's all going to play out in order for it to work for you. In fact, trying to figure out the how is one of our biggest mistakes that we end up making, is because the how isn't up to us. Okay, we have a very limited view of how things can happen, right? And if we're only using our like logical minds and we're not paying attention to our inner guidance or universal intelligence, then we're very much restricting how what we are trying to create can come to us. We put it in a box. You're literally blocking your blessings by doing that. Okay, because most of the times when you're trying to make predictions on how something will happen, it's because you've had some sort of experience with it, right? You're trying to iron out, okay, these are the different ways. However, other people have experienced things in many different ways than what you have, but you're not even really considering those because you're using your own experience as like a starting point and like going from logic. And that'll prevent you from even kind of getting started. So drop the how. The how isn't up to you. Just hold a vision of what you want to create. And let me tell you, when you are creating something new, or when you are like manifesting, as we say, the hardest part is like managing what happens afterwards, right? So when you're creating something, you have this vision of, the end goal. Maybe you are buying a house, or you're finishing school, you're looking for a new job, you are figuring out how to make more money, that sort of thing. Then you have to hold the vision and the frequency, the energetic vibrational frequency of that thing that you want. Right? Your job is to match that frequency. And the way to do that is to like ask yourself, well, how would it feel if I already had that thing? Right? So if you're trying to manifest money, let's just say I go up to you on the street and I hand you a check for, $10,000. How does that make you feel? How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel expanded? Does it make you feel free? Does it like lift a weight from your shoulders? Do you feel light? Are you like ecstatic and happy? You have got to put yourself into those emotions and into those feelings. And that's how you'll kind of bring something to you. So managing the time lag, managing the idea of, okay, this is what I want to happen. And then letting momentum take its place without trying to figure out the how. I mean, that's the hard part, right? That's the hard part. That's what we call like having to, have faith in it, just having to have faith in the process and to continue to hold that vibration and that like energetic frequency of already having that thing. And I get it that it can be kind of really difficult, but if you're paying attention to your inner guidance, if you're paying attention to universal intelligence, if you are putting something out there to say, this is the thing that I want to bring into my life, and you're able to hold that feeling of already receiving it, then you will get those universal nudges. You'll receive inspired action. Your job is to make sure that you take that inspired action. That's where things usually fall apart, is that you'll put something out there and then you'll get those nudges to go do this thing or to look into that thing or something, right? But then you don't ever get started, right? Because you're not able to place all of the different steps from A to Z, right? You're not supposed to. That's what momentum's for. Let momentum take over, okay? You can't possibly understand how compounding of experience and energetic frequencies, how that's going to play into it. But I can promise you it'll work. I promise you it'll work. Your entire job is just to manage what happens after you decide that you want to create something, and to follow your inner guidance, to follow the inner nudges, to do what it's telling you to do, right? So like, actually, as like an example, this morning I woke up and I just had like this strong desire to make some, fairly significant changes to my website, right? And it was very early in the morning. Luckily, I know enough to like keep a pen and paper by my bed, so I didn't have to wake up at like 3 a.m. But I just like wrote it down, and then I was able to, then I went back to sleep. I slept very well. And then when you wake up, then I put it into action. I made those changes. And from my limited view, I can't necessarily see how those changes are going to create a huge impact. However, what I know is that if I continue to follow these nudges and I continue to be open to be led, then that is part of the momentum. It's part of, the creation. And it's just about me holding faith that, the thing that I'm creating is manifesting. And as long as you're following your inner guidance, it will manifest for you. Okay? You just have to manage your emotions. You have to manage your limiting beliefs, manage the resistance, and allow momentum to take over. Thanks for listening to my little piece of wisdom. This is day 4 of my 90-day challenge to follow my inner guidance. And so far today, I was called to make those changes to my website, which I did. I had a fabulous time with one of my close friends who's here visiting. And then I really wanted to speak to you guys about momentum. So let's see where it takes us. Have a good night.